Not too long ago, before the making of this video, my wife looked at the ceiling fixture in our hallway and said, "This has got to go." And I couldn't figure out why, because, it turns on and it turns off and it gives off light. So we ended up at the big box store looking for a suitable replacement. We saw quite a variety of fixtures, a lot of LED stuff out there, some better than others. We finally ended up on a semi-flush mount fixture with a Tiffany glass bowl. It looks quite pleasant in the store. So we ended up bringing this box home. So I quickly had to get some tools to put this thing up on the ceiling. So what did we need? We needed a ladder. A good 6-foot ladder for ceiling mount should work. You're also going to need an array of some other tools. So let's start on the left. There's a voltage detector pen, which I like, a circuit tester, pigtails sometimes, they're called twin leads, and also a voltage tester. One of these will work for you. The circuit tester, pigtails, twin lead tester is really cheap. You can pick these up for under $10. They work, they're pretty reliable. You just stick the 2 leads in there and you should get a light if there's voltage. This is the part I don't like. Sometimes it's a little bit iffy there. Plus, you have to actually make contact with this. So my favorite tool is actually the voltage detector. Small, pen-like, and it doesn't actually need to get inside to detect voltage. It just needs to get near, and then it starts flashing. Here we turn off the light. We stick the pin in, nothing. So there's no voltage. As soon as I flick power to this outlet and I come near it, we start getting a red signal. And you'll notice that as I go near the other outlet, it also gives me red. So that's what I love about this. It's a no contact type of device. Yes, it requires batteries, but they're easy to replace. This is a great instrument to have. The voltage meter is cumbersome, so I don't like using that, especially for a ceiling type of installation. For other things, it's a great tool, but in this case, it's not. So let's move on. Other things you'll need is a screwdriver, maybe a combo. It's a Phillips and a screwdriver. Wire cutter. They're different types. You just need one that cuts. A pair of pliers, or better yet, a pair of lineman pliers, because that also includes a cutting blade. This is just a gripping blade, but either one will work for what we're trying to do. Of course, some electrical tape and some wire nuts. So this is a basic collection of the tools that you'll need, but we should always keep safety in mind. So you'll notice these tools are insulated. I like working during daylight hours. That way I have light in the house to see with. Obviously I could supplement it with, a trouble light or a lamp from another circuit, but preferred working during daylight as opposed to night. So now you're going to need to find your circuit breaker, your fuse box, and determine which circuit is the one that controls your light fixture and disable that circuit. I go one step further and I turn off the light switch that controls that particular fixture. But don't rely on this only. Make sure you turn off that circuit breaker first. So now we get to our light fixture, and this old one has a threaded finial which needs to come off. Once you get that off, then there's a little bushing that also needs to be taken off, and this all releases the glass globe, which just drops out in this particular lamp. Each lamp is a little different. In my case, I have to remove all 3 of the light bulbs so I can get access to the threaded knobs. I'm lucky in this case, no need to use a screwdriver. These you just simply grab and turn. Let's say somebody tweaked them on a little too tight, then I'd probably would just grab the lineman pliers or the regular pliers and just twist until I loosen the threaded knobs. Then those come off. Be aware that once these threaded knobs come off, oh, this one looks like it's also pulling out the entire screw from the mounting bracket. But anyway, once the threaded knobs are off, this fixture will now drop out. Now it won't fall because there are wires that'll hold it in place, but just know that it's going to come down. I get my voltage detector and probe around and make sure that there is no hot neutral or ground, or maybe there's another circuit that's tied with this one and I didn't know about it. You never know about wiring. Some people do some crazy do-it-yourself stuff. Anyway, we take off the wire nuts and disconnect the old fixture. Then in this case I have to remove the mounting bracket because this particular new lamp has its own mounting bracket that's needed for the installation. So there are 2 screws, and once those are clear, sometimes you'll also see that there's a grounding wire attached to the mounting bracket. And if that's the case, you'll have to disconnect that also. So I'm just going to remove the wire nut and then break that connection free, and we'll repurpose the ground wire with the new installation. And actually I will keep that old mounting bracket because you never know where you might need it in the future. And now it's time to look at our mounting bracket. It has 2 long screws that I had put through. Those will actually hold the light fixture. These 2 short screws are what will hold the mounting bracket to the outlet box. And then that green screw is where you attach the ground wire. Now you see the canopy will mate and the long screws will drop through, and then we'll put some threaded knobs on top of those to hold the whole thing in place. There's a support pipe that goes in. That support pipe will actually attach to the light fixture itself, and there's some wiring that has to be threaded through that support pipe all the way through the canopy that will attach to the light fixture. So first things first, let's install, oops, just dropped a screw there. Let's install the mounting bracket. And again, that's only 2 screws into the outlet box. And just make sure that the wires coming from the outlet box go through the center. And this is a case where when you screw these in, you want them nice and tight. But not so tight that you deform the bracket. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just turning the wires, the bare wires, so that they go through this support pipe easily without catching. And once the wires are through the support pipe, then I get the canopy and I thread the 3 wires through that. It's better to thread them in as a group as opposed to trying to get them in individually. The only problem I came across was sometimes the ground wire will have a kink in it, and that'll prevent the canopy from riding down over it. So you sort of have to make sure there are no kinks in the wire. But other than that, it should go right through. If you actually read the instructions, you'll find that they want you to set this up a little bit differently, but this actually works much better for a real-world installation. So now once the wires are through, I'm going to screw on the support pipe to the canopy without turning the wires. So I'm not twisting the wires, I'm just turning the canopy and holding the pipe. Once that's secure, I'll pull the wires through, and now I'm going to screw the support pipe to the light fixture. And again, I'm making sure my wires are pulled nice and tight. In this case, you'll notice I'm not turning the light fixture, I'm turning the canopy and the support pipe so that the wires don't get twisted. And there you go. We're halfway there. So now what I'm going to do is attach the black wire to the black wire coming out of the outlet box, the white to the white. Once I twist the wires together, I will put a wire nut on that, and then I do both sides. Take care of the ground wire, do the same thing, put a wire nut on that, and then I'm going to wrap electrical tape around the black and the white. No need to put electrical tape on the ground. And the reason for the electrical tape is just to hold everything together. It's just a nice safety precaution. It makes me feel really comfortable. Once everything is wrapped up, then it's time to get it into the outlet box. So the little tiny hole on the mounting bracket, that's where you're going to try to get all those wires through, because unfortunately this flush canopy doesn't give you any room to lay the wires in. So it's got to go into the outlet box. That's probably the hardest thing, because the gauge of the wires for the house are really thick, so they're hard to turn. Now we're looking at 2 threaded knobs, and we're going to use these to attach to the 2 bolts that are dropping down through the canopy. And these are just hand tightened. No need to apply a tool to this. I mean, you definitely want to make sure they're not loose, but again, you don't have to over torque these things. If you apply too much pressure, you'll probably bend the plate on the canopy, and you don't want to do that. Now this fixture says you can mount 2 100 bulbs. We decided to go with 2 9-watt LEDs. So that's 200 versus 18. That's a huge savings in power. And plus, we'll probably never have to change these bulbs. So now on the light fixture itself, there are 3 legs with more threaded knobs, and we took those off so that we can attach the shade. So grabbing the Tiffany shade, you see there are these 3 tabs, and that's where the screws that are on the upper side of these legs will catch, and then you'll use your little threaded knobs to hold those in place. Unfortunately, this shade doesn't really accommodate bulb switching, because you would think it would open from the bottom to get to the bulbs, but it doesn't. You need to come in through the top, so it's best to get those bulbs in there early. Again, the manual tells you to do something different, but we're doing it the correct way. So, looking up top side, we see that we've got our bolt protruding, and we're going to put the little nut on it on all 3 positions. And while these have a screw slot on top, there's no need to really screw these on other than hand tight. They don't bear much weight. They're not going to be jostled. It's not a vibrating type of situation. So just a good nice twist with your hands, and you should be able to get all 3 of these nicely secured. With all 3 in position, we've done everything. So we kind of get to make sure it's up there, nothing's poking out of it, no wires, and it looks pretty nice. So the real test, turn on the circuit, throw the light switch, and voila, we have a beautiful lamp. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and please, please, please subscribe so we can keep on making more of these videos. Thank you so much, as always, for watching.